U10s, preseason day one. Good morning, coaches. I had a question about what this first day looks like in regards to how does this all flow. So I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of explanation as to what this looks like. For me in this situation, this is the first time I'm coaching this specific team. And so wanting to, really just get the kids involved, set the tone, set the structure, and just make sure that there is a clear, understandable routine. Main coaching points, specific kinds of principles that we want to delve into. I don't really do anything on this day because it's just about, they want to come, they're excited, they get to see their friends, they get to see new kids, and they just want to play and have fun. And so really it's just about establishing that tone, that structure, and the procedures and routines. And so the arrival activity, I like to keep it real simple. And for this group, I know just from my co-coaches, feedback, not everybody shows up at the same time. They kind of trickle in. Our window of practice is 5:30 when parents are getting off work, so not everybody shows up on time. So for me, a basic arrival activity is real easy. First kid shows up, hey, how's it going? So good to see you. I've got a very important question for you. This is the most important question you're going to answer today. The kid's like, oh. And I'm like, penny or no penny? The kid's like, huh? And I show him the penny and he says, inevitably, no penny. I say, awesome. I put the penny on and we're playing 1v1. Next kid shows up. They get the same question, penny or no penny? Well, I don't know. They get no penny, and then my co-coach, he puts on a penny, and we're doing 2v2s. And as soon as the third kid gets there, they are sprinting to get on the field because they see the coaches, they see their friends, they see us playing. And so as the players arrive, we build into the 3v3s, and we play for about 15 or so minutes, and we're keeping score, we're having fun, we do a water break. And I'm like, how are we doing? How are we feeling? So good to see you guys. What do you feel like? Do you want to keep going a little bit longer, or you want to do something a little less taxing? Because for us, where we're at, it's pretty hot. Temps are pretty hot at this time of day. And so this second activity, get out of it. It's an easy basic structure for a 2v2, and it can dial back the intensity a little bit. And so they're like, yeah, we're kind of hot. Let's do something a little less intense. And we're like, okay. And I intended to not have any good coaching points or anything, but I couldn't help it during the 3v3s. There was one team that kept getting split. They were getting sucked out wide on defense, and I couldn't help myself. I was like, hey, I noticed, when goals were being scored, what was typically happening before the goals got scored. And of course they noticed right away, they're like, yeah, there were big passing lanes, and the team with the ball was able to find these passing lanes. And I was like, well, we're going to actually do something that's going to address that. And so the get out of it, basic 2v2 that I like to use, the basic structure is we have our, two players, situated on either side of the touchline. And we have our attackers who are, one who is going to be the recipient and his teammate, and they are attacking this direction. So the very, very obvious play is, if this is me and I play the ball, if I were to play the ball right in front of him, immediately he's just going to make a one-touch play right into his teammate who's going to score. So the defenders, were like, we have to close down the space quickly. We can't allow that passing lane. And of course, I don't play it right into his path. I play it behind him so that he has to get it, he has to receive, he has to turn, and then address what he is seeing. And so the defenders are having to navigate that unpredictable, unstable situation. How do we close? How do we press? And the teammate who is high has to ask himself, how do I support? Do I provide options diagonally? Do I check back in? How am I going to support my teammate who has now turned? What do I see in front of me? So this sort of unstable situation is a really good way to help navigate some different things that we see. And so of course, the players having had that question, you saw that you were getting scored on by having all these split balls. What are you going to do? Well, they were closing down quickly. They were communicating. They were figuring out how they were going to do it. And me being the one playing the ball here, I was able to adjust how I played it to what they were doing. Because after a couple of reps, these two players were inevitably like, hey, you step, I'll drop. You step, I'll drop. So when this player was told, I'm going to be the one to step, and this player said, I'm going to be the one to drop, well, of course, where am I going to play the ball? Right in here. So the player who's now dropping is like, oh, should I be dropping? Should I be stepping? Continually adjusting the starting points, continually adjusting the reps, so that players are having to navigate, how do we close down? How do we get compact? How do we delay? How do we deny? How do we finish? And again, I'm not saying a whole lot. I'm just, hey, I liked what you did there. That was awesome. Just keeping it positive, keeping it light, and really just letting the session do the heavy lifting. So now that they've had this structure, we can come back to it, and on further iterations, as I posted on Sunday, there's various ways we can constrain it moving forward. But now that they've had the basic understanding of how the task works, it'll be easy to come back to and continue to adjust based on the different principles we want to look at. And then we finished with some 6v6, and and that really is just however many players you had there. We anticipated 6v6, we didn't end up having 6v6, so we played with the 5v4 that we ended up having, and that meant, we worked that and it managed it just fine. And so, by the end of the session, I was really excited because, the players were like, we just want to keep playing, we just want to keep playing. And it was like, that's cool, we can play a few more minutes. And by the end of it, I was so tired and so done. I was like, I need a break. But, really goals for preseason day one, not a whole lot of coaching points, just trying to establish the tone. We're having fun, we're getting to play, we're getting to challenge ourselves, and we're getting to learn the routine and structure. And it just helps me kind of get a sense of, what does the vibe feel like? What kinds of personalities, what kinds of dynamics do we see? So that as we move forward, we have a better basis for, what we can look at to adjust the environment to try to elicit the kinds of problem-solving behaviors we want to see. So preseason day one, U10s, it was a fun day. I was exhausted, and I slept very well. Cheers.